beautifully. Beautiful analogy there, Tetra. That's why you want to.
What is the German version of primary school?
I would say it's the Grundschule. You know, it's like elementary school in the US.
Yeah, because I knew it was elementary in the US, primary in the UK, and then we have secondary.
Can you repeat the word, by the way? Grundschule.
Grundschule?
Yeah, very good. There we go. Already doing much better than Trixler. Sorry, Trixler.
I practice a little bit. I try to be at least the little bit culturally sensitive, even though I fail miserably.
And then you see in German we have these beautiful long words, right? We can basically make an abomination of a word of almost everything, right? So if you want to say an elementary school teacher, right? Pretty straightforward, or primary school teacher in English, in British English. In German it becomes one word and it's Grundschullehrerin.
Grundschullehrerin?
Grundschullehrerin oder Grundschullehrer.
Lehrerin.
If it's the female version.
I rolled there, I went French.
We also, exactly, we also, differentiate between the female versions and the male versions because 2018.
Oh, I forgot you had that.
Yes, we have it.
I thought you guys were phasing that out. I thought you were going to more gender-neutral words.
That's what a lot of people want to do, but it's not fully there yet. But there's always a debate. Like, I think right now, actually, a few weeks ago, there was a lady in Germany actually trying to sue her bank because she was receiving a couple of letters by the bank. And in those letters, they weren't addressing her as female customer, but they were just using the general broad term customer. So, dear customer, right? And she was like, oh, I'm not feeling treated like a lady, so please change that. I want to be addressed in the female version, which is Kundin in German. And the bank didn't do it, and now she's suing them.
I'm pretty sure the misogynist movement has been set forward now, again. But either way, let's get off this very, very risky subject, as we see Zeratul picked up first by Katie.
Yeah. Zeratul first pick, already a strong setup with that Malfurion, of course, as well. Because you could basically drop the roots underneath VP, which makes already for a strong CC combo. And then followed up by the Twilight Dream, it could spell disaster on the enemy team. So what does Beyond the Game face or do against that? Exactly, they go for Medivh, strong burst damage protection, as well as Garrosh, who's naturally a little bit more resilient to damage in the first place because of his armor passive.
And we see here the Stukov and the Diablo being banned out. The Diablo, very unsurprising that is banned out so quickly, especially seeing 619 already has the Garrosh. So giving him a little bit more control there straight away. So now, Katie, what are we going to see from them? They still need range, they still need tank, they need pretty much everything, honestly. All they have is a support.
Yeah, definitely true. They need more frontlining, they need more damage as well, as you said. Now, Garrosh is no longer here, right? That one has been stolen away by 619. And Diablo was also taken away from Kaitu, so they basically tackle and target some of the most comfort picks for KT right off the get-go. But Varian makes it back into it, countering taunt with taunt, fighting fire with fire, basically.
Yeah, single target blow-up taunt versus full AoE single isolation tank. It's a fun matchup, honestly. Like, either one can actually burst down the other, because Juggernaut Variant actually does very well against Garrosh. However, if the taunt does not go down, Variant's going to find himself in the enemy backline, alone, a lot. So he needs to be very careful how he engages and when he engages, because otherwise he's going to, like I said, find himself inside a fort and not his own.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see how the Variant can actually, vary... No puns intended. He can vary his 13 talents. So depending on what the situation requires you to do, you can adjust, right? And as you said, Juggernaut can be such a good tool against heroes like Garrosh, against heroes like Sonya even. And no longer is the Mortal Strike a guaranteed tool or a guaranteed must pick here. Against Medivh, the Shattering Throw does literally nothing because it's not a normal shield that you can burst. So maybe the reduced healing against Alexstrasza can still be valuable, even against the self-heal by Sonya, by Garrosh. It could have some use, but Juggernaut definitely a possibility here, that's for sure.
Yeah, Juggernaut or Mortal Strikes are definitely the two they could go for. Malfurion could, in theory, even take the anti-healing here if he wishes to go for that, especially with a potential Void Prism to set it up.
Yeah. So maybe they even go for yet another assassin to maybe focus more on blowing people up with a wombo combo, or they go for the Soa style of game 2 that we just saw with a Variant solo tank, or they maybe go for another frontliner, which I also wouldn't mind seeing, to be honest.
They don't have a solo lane exactly, so I wouldn't mind if they went for like a sort of pseudo. Nope, they've gone for Lunara. Cool. Why though? I guess just because Medivh damage through the force of will.
That could be a good point. Yes, Lunara is definitely some sort of counter to the Medivh because her poison continues to tick even with the force of will expiring.
Lots of slows.
Lots of slows. I can't really see the immediate value, especially not against Alexstrasza, who normally has very strong AoE healing, especially while in Dragon Queen form. So with Lunara in the mix, I don't think you can ever hope to poke them down or finish them off with Dragon Queen being activated. So I don't really see the combo potential with Zeratul either. I think I would have preferred a Gul'dan. Like, if you wanted to go for the poking, poke damage kind of style, then Gul'dan could have done more, right? He has a Fear, which is nice both offensively and defensively. Could also mess with Medivh a little bit more, and the Corruption still deals tremendous damage. So I don't know. I'm just willing to see how well Lunara can do, though.
Okay, so in terms of, I can see like one piece of value here. Engage, taunt, single target burst, leaping strike is much more efficient than anything you would get from a Gul'dan or anything like that. Yep. It is a better bit of single target damage, big old slow to assist Varian in the consistent charges and getting the full lockdown. That way it can be value. Everything else, I agree, I probably would have preferred a Gul'dan.
Yes. Or just go for another frontliner, right? Go for something like a Dehaka, Leoric if you want to have someone in the solo lane.
Because even you want more damage.
Yeah, because right now it's going to be so hard for, you know, for KT to find a good solo laner against what their opponents have. But either way, we're going to introduce Beyond the Game once more, guys. In the blues, we have 619 on the Garage, LLK is playing the Medivh, Druid on Alexstrasza, Dancing on Hanzo, and Lies playing the Sonya.
And on the right-hand side, it's Kudos top, with Hope on Lunara, Kaito on Varian, TWT on Malfurion, Lycia on Zeratul, and Zizm on the Tychus.
Okay, Kaito, once again, the main tank. He was labeled as the team's flex player in the overview sheet, so definitely don't make the mistake of thinking he would always go for an assassin here. And already we see the Lions mod coming in once again. So in Europe, I was actually watching HGC on the weekend, and we mostly still saw the Overpower, which is of course a guaranteed proc of Varian's trait, the Heroic Strike, whenever he parries. With Taunt, that can be triggered quite handsomely, especially if you want to go for Mortal Strike here. But that already could be a strong indicator of Varian actually going for Juggernaut instead.
Quite possibly indeed. We do see Lunara going for the natural perspective here, getting the extra reveal duration, which is going to be interesting, especially against Garrosh. It's useful for this reason because you want to know where Garrosh is at all times. If he catches you unawares in a bush, then you are going to have a pretty miserable day, to be honest, as Garrosh throws a minion at Hope. A little bit of turnaround. Hope, yeah, he might have been avoiding it too, but no, those are good. Lunara assisting with her W, also as able to get Kaito out of there.
Quite the bold move here by Varian to charge in that deep before level 4, where he's basically just an empowered melee minion here. So one toss, and that would have meant the end of the King of Stormwind, most likely. But he was just barely out of Garrosh's reach. And as such, he gets to live for a little bit longer. But also, yeah, as you pointed out, the natural vision at level 1 just provides more vision onto heroes like Garrosh, even a Sonya, which is so useful to know, right?
It's the usual talent, but it's still worth talking about the advantages it can gain here, because that's our job. So, we see also a Cleave Zeratul, not going with that one-off chicken Zeratul that we saw, going for that auto-attack burst build almost to combine with Judgment.
Yep, it's just probably going to be a standard cleave build with the healing at level 20, which is going to be very, very strong. After VP, for those of you who've never seen it, Zeratul normally steps into the VP, makes sure to hit as many heroes as possible, and then gets tremendous healing in the late game, which causes him to be extremely tanky. Now look at what Lunara is doing. Dropping the Q into the bush, having perfect vision with the Wisp and her poison. This is how you shut down a Garrosh from hoping to get like those early combos. Very nicely done. And as already you can see, KT is trying to play this very passively. They're trying to wait for level 4. The Variant, here it comes. The shield has been equipped. Down goes the taunt on Hanzo. He does have an escape though. Zeratul blinking over the wall. And Dragon Queen used super early before the shrine was actually activated, Tetra. That is a big deal.
They blew a lot of stuff, and that's kind of important
to
do so. You need to keep Varian alive, but I agree that the Dragon Queen especially, they already had got out. They already had the protection onto onto Hanzo with Medivh arriving in time. That was just a little bit jumpy.
Yeah, a little bit too much here. An overreaction coming in from Druid. That could really bite them. That could really hurt them in the longer skirmish, or the longer the skirmish lasts over the shrine, because it goes on a 3-minute cooldown now. Let's see what Alexstrasza can do without her Mighty Dragon Form. Varian gets kited in, jumps back into safety with the charge. Now Hope is trying to flank with Lunara, spreading the poison on as many targets as he can.
Pressure on Zeratul, but a nice cleave, and a little bit of damage over time. You can see the damage over time here. Yeah. Working pretty well. It seems that we were right in our assessment that it's just to go through the Medivh shield, because down goes Garrosh.
And what's beautiful about all this poison damage as well is if it lands on Druid, on the Alexstrasza, she's going to lose health over and over again. And the lower in health Alexstrasza is, the lesser her healing on the Q will be, actually. So the overall value from Alexstrasza without Dragon Queen in particular, because it was wasted earlier a couple of minutes ago, or a couple of moments ago, you know, it really starts to show. And beyond the game, there is no choice for them other than to surrender this one. And already Sonya going back to top lane, Medivh trying to go back to mid lane, so they get at least a little bit of experience in.
That's good. They want to try and catch up in experience, because they are going to lose at least 1 tower, maybe 2. With Hanzo here, if he can get a good angle, it should be able to massively limit the damage. But with 4 members of KT pushing in here, they are going to be able to get both towers, especially with the minion wave still here. They just need to get it quickly in case Garrosh gets a flip. But no, too many minions here. Punish is still in position with the gate down. Everyone else would have been able to get out.
Now, only quote-unquote getting 2 towers is already more than enough, right? The first Punisher rarely gets more than that. It's just not scaling that well in the early game. We see a very interesting talent choice here at level 7, by the way, specifically tailored for maps like Infernal Shrine on the Varian, right? We see Victory Rush, which is normally a talent that you normally shouldn't go for. It used to be way worse before the rework. Now it's gotten a cooldown reduction buff. So if you destroy, or if you close to a minion or a monster dying, and that is the very important part, right? Monsters means PvE objectives, like, let's say, a skeleton, like a Braxis Zerg, something along those lines. Whenever one of those tiny little creatures falls, there is a tremendous cooldown reduction going on with Victory Rush, which basically turns Varian into a very self-sustaining, very hard-to-kill tank near those shrine areas when the skeletons are in the open.
Yeah, or even on a minion wave. Torch being used on Gareth very quickly here. Down goes the root with those deep roots as the level 4 talent for Malfurion. He puts the pressure on. With the spear, not getting too much value there due to everyone else being kind of split from Garrosh very sensibly for exactly that reason. But pressure coming in. Portal is used. They're looking for Scissor, but a nice dash there. The counter taunt coming in from Kaitu. LLK dropping low. Look at Hope. He's being left completely alone here. Finally, they begin to turn their attention to him as Hope drops. No, dodges the Sonic Arrow and will survive, but surprise Zeratul looking for the kill onto Garrosh. Force of Will, not enough. And this is working. The fact that no pressure is coming onto Lunara due to how much pressure Varian's putting on Zizim will die here. Good scatter arrow. But the Hope has dropped so much damage that every single time they're forcing BGG to back up. Although, once again, if you put that much pressure on and chase that far, you will get counter-killed.
Yeah, Zizim unfortunately was a little bit too deep in there. Of course, he doesn't really have the increased movement speed that Lunara has. But Hope in particular, I think you mentioned it, Tetcher, has done such a marvelous job at always staying away from the Garrosh, not getting caught, but almost always spreading the poison thanks to the Splinter Spear at level 7 as well. And you can really see how the slow and continuous damage of heroes like Zeratul with that cleave build of Lunara is causing so many issues for Alexstrasza, who also went for a single target healing build with talents like Life Blossom at 7 and the cooldown reduction on her Q at level 1. So she doesn't have the circle healing that she normally could have had.
There is that Warbringer for Varian. Interesting that we are seeing the Tranquility coming in from Malfurion here. Not going for Twilight Dream. He's just going to try and sustain his team through fights, which I guess makes sense because you want to keep your damage output going. We thought this was going to be a burst build, but it looks like the burst is just Zeratul and Tychus plus a single Splintered Spear. Other than that, the whole idea behind this build looks like we're going to wait and let Lunara just destroy you.
And it's so weird to see that, right? When you have a Zeratul and a Varian, most importantly, in the team. Normally it screams like hard engage, want to blow people up, but instead they're designing their mid-late game kit draft now into this long skirmish overpowering and out-sustaining the opponents, right? With all that damage over time, with all that healing over time as well. But Kaito needs to be careful now. Stays out of the stun range, gets taunted and flung back into the backlander.
Tranquility, not enough to heal Varian. Health nerfs are in effect there. Yeah. Tranquility was used, and as such, that's a big cooldown burn. So this will be, with the Dragon Queen active especially, the Punisher going over to BTG. But at least, I did mention in terms of burst, Lunara does have Leaping Strike as well, so we do have the single target burst there.
Yeah, and I like what KT's response to this is. Without their main tank, there's no hope to ever contest this shrine any longer, right? They fell behind too early and significantly here. So what they were trying to do instead was try to maybe get a little bit of structural value. 39, by the way, Monka. Is Medivh going to get it?
Just do it. Just do it. Hit hope. He was right there. But no, doesn't take the risk. Tychus solo pulls the Punisher over, but he's not going to regret that, actually. Going to be 619 getting zoned away by Kaito here. Kaito putting himself in harm's way to make sure Tychus is safe. Root does land, but he survives. Punisher continuing to pile on the aggression. Cleansing Flame being used to try and stop some of that Lunara damage.
All right. Cleansing Flame is actually one of those abilities that Varian also needs to pay attention to because he didn't go Shield Wall, right? So all the magic damage coming in by Cleansing Flame, it will affect him. Now, here goes the one-man VP. I'm not sure what Zizm was, Licia, was trying to achieve here. He probably thought his allies were a little bit closer. Here comes Varian, the line small fully stacked.
Everyone get out. Is out, though, with the Forge somehow still alive in the top lane. And Lunara piling on the pain, but not enough to currently kill anyone.
I'm not sure if you guys notice all these little micro moves here by Hope, and I think it was also Varian by like Kaito in the past. Like when they play against Garrosh, the way they move when trying to run away from this guy is not just, you know, oh, beautiful charge to a friendly target getting out of harm's way, but they don't just run away the opposite direction, but they always try to do a little bit of a sidestep to avoid getting stunned by the Garrosh Q. So this is really well done. You can see this multiple times now, especially by Lunara, always escaping the combo. Super cool to see.
We see Zizm taking huge amounts of damage, does get taken out, but Lunara from the side getting once again a really nice engage angle, able to pick up the counter kill onto Hanzo. Varian gets deleted there. Lovely blow up. And of course, due to that, Medivh has stacked Force of Will, so time to feed.
Time to feed indeed. LLK is trying his hardest. He's going in, dropping the polybomb. Spreads over once to Zeratul, but other than that, no harm was caused. So this is a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Beyond the Game. And I can't help but feel, Tetra, that if Licia hadn't blown the VP for nothing a couple of moments before, they could have actually had a better team fight because they could have maybe saved Varian, who's getting blown to pieces there. So a little bit of a mistake by KT. If they use their heroic abilities a little bit more in synchrony, then they're definitely going to have a better time, I think.
Couldn't agree more, as both these teams right now are looking at the game. I feel very comfortable saying either of these teams could be winning this series right now, as KT are looking good. Leap? No, that was into the phrase, sorry. I was about to say, I didn't see Leap. Suddenly went back to level 10 and picked Leap, but no, it was into the fray being used there. As Kaito pulls back, once again, Warbringer to receive. It's the most I've seen Ally Warbringer used in a game so far, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it as well, especially when there's like a curve or a corner with terrain, just giving additional protection and cover for the Varian. Look at that. Once again, just doing a little bit of a step towards Garrosh and then dashing to the side and escaping to the side. This is such good micromanagement when it comes to escaping the CC of Garrosh. Now, once again though, Varian did go for the Mortal Strike at 13. No Shattering Throw this time. Wouldn't make any sense after all. And no Juggernaut either, despite picking Warbringer. So this is reduced healing against Sonya, against Alexstrasza, against Garrosh, and it makes a lot of sense too.
If you look at Varian's build and you think of every single build we have basically seen from all regions, this one's just a mess. But everything works, everything has its place. Burst damage, Q, and wave clear, Q. Engage potential with the with Warbringer, and the taunt, escape potential with Warbringer. Sustained, victory rush makes sense on the map. Mortal Strike, prevent the Alexstrasza healing, and the fact that Sonya has self-healing as well. Everything makes sense, it just doesn't look like it should synergize.
Exactly. Here goes a taunt onto Verosh. Doesn't get the immediate healing reduction. Here goes a massive taunt.
Nice leaping strike. Hope able to get out of there as Zeratul gets a 3-man Void Prism this time, but the Cleansing Flame is good. Zizum is setting himself up. In comes the counter damage. Force of Will expires as the Tiger's damage continues through. There's the taunt onto Sonya, trying to finish her off. Good damage from Hope. Able to pick up that kill. Wind Buffet pushes the engaged potential back. That was Lysis taking a lot of damage. Nice stun by Garrosh, keeping his team going as they retreat backwards here. Numbers advantage in favor of KT, but the health advantage very, very BTG. Good Force of Will. Arcane Explosion to turn onto Kaito as he drops so low, but 619 does not have the damage. Hanzo finally from a distance though, sniping the kill, gets the other one with the deflex. But Furion is so low. Medivh chases him down, and that turnaround, BTG in full control. In comes Medivh, looking for Zeratul. Zeratul trying to do, picks up the counter kill. It's Lunara versus Medivh and Garrosh as she kites them back forever into the fray. Out she goes. Punisher picked up by BTG.
LLK with a polybomb. I'm not sure if it actually came off cooldown again or if he had used it. If he hadn't used it at all in that team fight. That was just so cool because one more auto attack or one more W by Lunara would have sealed the deal, I believe. So saving all those cooldowns for when they got maximum value, but a constant back and forth by KT. You could really see how those teams are facing each other on an equal power level, and the Punisher goes over to Beyond the Game, but they also too took some losses so they can't commit fully to this push. As such, Varian and Tigers are trying the best to leash it over. The minions of course are pouring in as well, trying to add a little bit of extra damage, and as such only a fort falls. I think that could have gone way worse if KT hadn't been able to retaliate at all.
Yeah, KT pulling back, clearing up, but like you said, it's going pretty reasonably here for them, able to save their tier 2s. The tower will probably go down to the Arcane Sentinels. BTG, instead, using their time to grab the Mercenary here, stealing the proxy bomb, making it 1 in this mid lane and 1 in this bot lane, piling on multiple lanes of pressure.
And Tetra, can you imagine what a Twilight Dream could have done in those fights if you go for the VP, which was actually pretty okay this time around? If you shut down heroes like Medivh or even Alexstrasza when they're getting this close, you prevent them from casting any more abilities. It could have done so much more in my opinion than what we saw here with the Tranquility. But for now, respectable damage onto Lai and the Sonya.
Lunara is getting the value here. Damage output's good. Spear chases all the way. Lysia gets Dragon Arrow to prevent this chase in. He's looking for the Void Press, but he can't get close enough.
Wow, that was a surprising amount of damage here onto the front line of Beyond the Game. And I think most of it was due to the fact that A, the poison was spreading very nicely, but also Giant Killer at level 13. It ignores armor, which is so huge against Garrosh, which is nice against Sonya as well. So Lunara, the longer these fights go, I feel the more powerful she's going to become. But of course, BT still has to face a 2-level deficit.
I mean, they're definitely going for longer fights. Giant Killer in the rhythm for Tychus. Maximum percentage damage duration here. Malfurion, full sustain builds. It's Titan Grenade, yeah, exactly. It's full percentage damage and long fight duration with a little bit of burst to finish the job with that Taunt, with that Warbringer, and with the Leaping Strike, and of course, with Zeratul.
Let's not forget about Zeratul's late game here as well. He only needs one more talent at level 20 to really reach his maximum peak with the healing. So he's already dealing a lot of damage over time with the cleave, strong AoE damage overall with the VP. So all he needs now is that self-sustain to go for even more reckless plays. We see the shield, by the way, at 13 as well. Whenever Tychus remains stealth for, I think it's 5 seconds or so, he's going to get a tremendous shield, which protects him when he goes in for those playmaking moves in the late game.
Yeah, it's a big deal for Zeratul, but right now they're playing very far back. So they're only halfway through level 18, as BTG have 20 now. Upgraded Polybomb, the upgraded Spear range, is that?
Yep.
Yeah, we see a Blessing of the Red, play of the game, and the Titanic Might, which might come into play here. Immediate taunt, getting punished for his aggression. 619 drops super low. Zizum is looking for a grenade snipe here, but the healing from dancing has already saved the day.
Sorry, movement speed prevented worse things from happening here for Beyond the Game. Movement speed after abundance, thanks to the level 4 talent, is coming in huge here in that moment, because Lunara, thanks to the natural vision at level 1, right, she was totally aware of what was going on, and Garrosh dropping to 50% of health here. So they would have loved to continue the chase, KT that is, but against the movement speed boost, there was nothing they could do. Now, Blessing of the Red, that is an interesting one for Lunara. Sorry, for Alexstrasza. Increasing the maximum health of every member, excluding herself. by 500. Could be a big deal. Look at how tanky Sonya becomes even tankier, and even Hanzo and Medivh benefit greatly from that.
I mean, technically, it gives more value to the percentage damage, but that's still... It's still extra tankiness. It's not going to be, I have more health now, therefore I'm going to die quicker. It is just a situation of the percentage damage is going to be slightly more effective in terms of the picks. That justifies the picks quite a bit more. But for Petrexia against the Leaping Strike and the Varian damage, it's a fantastic pick. VP's been used.
So
Kaiju in position, looking for the kill. No one is here. Hanzo over the wall. Lightia instead tries to focus on 619. There's a beautiful 5-man Dragon Arrow and the play of the game.
Now, I don't really know what those VPs are all about, Catcher. The enemy team was not really grouped either. Your own team was so far away, Zizumit, be careful. He's so low. Ice Block protects Malfurion for now. Is he going to stay alive? For now he is. Now he's not.
This was absolutely outplayed. BTG, full destruction there. Not even close. Like you said, the VP a little bit too early. And then the full split up, perfect focus, and the blow up on Zeratul is such a huge deal. They're going to move in. They want a keep at minimum. Lunara is going to be able to poke this, as long as she doesn't get caught out. She's going to be able to potentially stop her core from dying. Out from just pure damage, but it's going to be tight here. She can't afford to be forced out of position here.
There goes the Raven army with the Raven Familiar talent level 4, providing more damage on the next auto attack, also providing a movement speed slow, so Lunara needs to be really careful on where she treads. But of course, with everyone except for Lunara still being chilling in the Hall of the Storms, there's no way for KT to defend that. One last team fight is all it took for Beyond the Game to take game number 1. Lunara's going to have to watch that. And yeah, just well played by Beyond the Game, and KT with that VP engage, just basically cutting themselves more than they did the enemy team.
It was a really good fight right up until that last bit. They just were too eager into level 20. They were trying to make something happen before the objective, but that VP with people out of position, like you said, a little bit too early. Sometimes patience is a virtue.